Hey there, everybody. So this is the Manhattan Community Board For's Cannabis Task Force for the month of May. For those of you that are visiting, please feel free to sign in on the sign-in sheet. We do happen to have some of the folks that are applying that will be presenting here in person. We may have some folks also online, which will pull them over at the time. Oh, we're muted, so I gotta repeat that one time.
Hold on, sorry, yeah. You're here.
And the lights are on. Okay, so welcome to the Manhattan Community Board for Cannabis Task Force May meeting. I'd like to let everyone know that Manhattan Community Board 4 has a hybrid policy that can be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability or an extraordinary circumstance. At this time, all of our members are here and we don't have any that are joining virtually. Excused members and members of the public will all be able to participate virtually, and members who are joining via Zoom, if you had any, would need to leave their cameras on. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the YouTube channel, and a transcript is also being recorded. So, just to go over the agenda of the first item on the agenda, which is postponed to next month. I just wanted to remind the members of the task force and anyone else in the public who may have attended last month. This is the 303 10th Avenue, which is 2728th Street. We spoke to the applicant, who is a hard applicant, a veteran, mother of two. Her business that she's in now is radiology, and she's giving this a try. We had said to her we weren't very comfortable making a decision last month based on wanting her to engage a little more obviously and get some feedback from the community at large. She did speak to Jesse and said that she had not been able to do all the things that we asked and asked to postpone. One caveat of the postponing, Jesse's been very good at making sure that the request for postponement that she made, that he was copied on to OCM, was also followed up by an email from Jesse to let them know, please do not hold the hearing because we'd like to have community input into that. We have found that in the past few months, we have a few places that have opened, even though we had actually denied the application for reasons that the location was not appropriate. However, OCM had already held their hearing and did not take into account any community input because they didn't have it. Yeah, so we just need to be vigilant in that. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, and I do believe they are here. This is for iDispenseNYC 653 9th Avenue. So if you want to stand at that corner, that way the owl can catch you, welcome. And we know that you've visited one of our meetings before, so you've heard a lot of the types of questions, but at this point, it's for you to just give us a sense of who you are, where you're looking to open, what your connection to the community is, and why you think that your operation is a good fit for the community. So welcome and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. It's been a very long journey for me to reach this point, and I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to present before the Cannabis Task Force. My name is Hamid Michael Ardevali. I'm a social and economy equity retail dispensary licensee. This is my license. If you want to take a copy. Licensee seeking to open a licensed adult use cannabis dispensary right here in House Kitchen, a neighborhood I have proudly called home for over a decade. I lived on West 36th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. Over the years, I've seen both the beauty and the challenges in this community. During the pandemic, several hotels in the area were repurposed into shelters. And our block became a place where many experiencing homelessness and addiction sought temporary refuge. I got to know some of these individuals and listened to their stories. Many had cycled through rehab programs with long-term support or stability or purpose. These experiences inspired me to take action. I'm now developing a community outreach program, which we plan to launch once operational, focused on connecting underserved, individual to resources recovery networks and employment pathways. My goal is to be consistent, trusted presence, someone from the neighborhood who's invested in helping people reintegrate and rebuild their lives. When I finally found a qualifying location in Hell's Kitchen after months of extensive research, I truly felt like it was meant to be. Suitable space for legal cannabis operations are incredibly hard to find. But this one felt aligned with both my business goals and my passion for helping the neighborhood I love. A little background about me, I'm an immigrant who has spent nearly my entire life in New York City. I earned a bachelor's degree in aeronautics from Dalvin College in Long Island and obtained my pilot license shortly thereafter. Without the means to pursue a commercial flying career, I pivoted into a real estate where I worked as a licensed broker for over 15 years. 4 years ago, I launched SOS Pro Services, a fire and flood restoration and mitigation company, servicing clients across New York City. In October of 2024, I was awarded a retail cannabis license. They didn't just give it to me, obviously. They killed me to give it to me. Retail cannabis license by New York State through the C program. Since receiving my license, I've committed myself fully to this mission. I put my previous business on hold and focused entirely on learning the cannabis industry from inside out. I completed a certificate program through the Cannabis Workforce Initiative, regularly attended OCM and Cannabis Advisory Board meetings, participated in small business services training programs tailored to cannabis entrepreneurs. While I initially explored partnership with more experienced operators, I quickly learned that many were more interested in using licensees like me to expand their own footprints without offering meaningful support or equity. So I chose to move forward independently, determined to build a business rooted in integrity, community, and compassion. Security and compliance are extremely important to me. I'm committed to following every requirement laid by Office of Cannabis Management. Our dispensary will be equipped with 24/7 surveillance camera, both inside and outside the premises, along with secure storage area and strict ID scan verification at the door to ensure no underage individuals can enter. Once our full security plan is finalized, we'll be happy to share it with the board for review and transparency. To preserve the character of the neighborhood, all cannabis product will be sold pre-packaged and sealed. Consumptions will be strictly prohibited in the vicinity of the store, with clear signage reinforcing this policy. Should we feel it's necessary, we will prepare to implement professional grade air scrubbers equipment in our facility to eliminate odors and ensure no smell escape into the community. These are the same system we've used successfully in our restoration work to remove smoke and environmental contaminants. And we have both equipment and experience readily at our disposal. My vision for this dispensary is simple but powerful. A secure, compliant, locally operated cannabis storefront that not only offers high quality product and excellent services, but also gives back through employment, outreach, and reinvestment into Hell's Kitchen. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's open it up for questions from the committee or the task force. Rodney?
So I'll start. So I appreciate your homework that you've done. I am pleased to hear that you've taken advantage of the courses. Just talk to me about your outreach in the community. Just, I guess I'm a little confused. In the application, it says that you've not provided or spoken to the residents of the building yet, or?
Specific building,
Yeah, your
I
building.
have not.
Okay.
The specific building that I'm
Applying for?
trying to, yeah, I have not. one person or two person came out of the building. I spent several days, several hours. They were not interested to talk to me. I guess I have to offer something
No.
for people to talk. But I was there for several days and spent several hours. I spoke to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 individuals. And I got their signature and phone.
And you posted our sign?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Great.
And you work
I
with us?
posted more than what I was told. I posted in every corner.
Sure.
Just maybe, I thought maybe the audience is because of the posting. They're not.
Sure, and your work with the landlord, and your conversations with the landlord, was he hesitant to notify the residents, or did he say?
I don't even know if he ever has.
Okay.
The landlord is a very tough landlord, my luck. I have written him many emails. I have tried to meet him in person. He's a very busy person.
Sure.
I don't get too much help from him, even to resolve some of the violation that has nothing to do with the commercial space, with the building itself. So I'm working with. I'm stuck with whatever I want.
Sure. Thanks. That's good.
Absolutely.
Wendy, should, love a little bit of clarification around the location viability, just, I know there was seems like there was some confusion or back and forth, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I spent months looking for a viable location based on measuring tool that they have given us. And I found a location when there was a tea shop. They were still operating as a tea shop. So, I reached out, I found, a real estate agent. He was working on the place, and so I submitted an offer. It took about 2 months. Went from 14, 16, 18 to 20,000 dollars. Knowing based on the map, if you like to pass it down, the other location is outside the 1,000-foot rule. And when I submitted my location to OCM, they wrote me that the place is not viable because there is a location 1,011 feet away, but that's not what they said. They said it's not viable because of that location. So I have challenged that since. But I'm doing all the work I'm supposed to do. I'm waiting to see how they respond. I reached out to everybody, but I haven't got a response yet.
So one of the things that I want to ask, like Rodney, commend you on taking the classes, getting yourself educated, and also recognizing early on that the focus or the intention of others that are entering this industry don't align with you. But do you have legal representation? Are you consulting with anyone who has experience in this particular emerging field?
Yes, ma'am. I consulted with Mr. David Fader. He's a cannabis attorney. He looked at the deal I was working on before. He approved the location when I sent him. He said kosher with a thumbs up. The location is kosher. So then I moved forward with the location and signed the lease. I had an attorney help from the Small Business Services representation. That's a free of charge because David is quite expensive and I felt like so I had them help me out with the lease and I signed the lease and that was.
And just piggybacking on Rodney's questions around outreach to the community, I know that you sent emails to folks on block associations, et cetera. Did you receive any feedback? Are there things that maybe you were asked and would like to address publicly?
I got one phone call as soon as I sent out the emails to the list, which I have printed of the list. One person called me kind of concerned, what will we be selling in the store? I said, anything that is allowed by OCM. I think it's just water, merchandise, and cannabis products. And she was concerned with the times, operation hours. I did mention that I'm looking at 8:30 to 11:30, 12:30. And we'll think we'll change this as if necessary. And she just didn't like the idea that, maybe we're thinking about working past 11:30. And just by the rules, some of the stores are open till 2 a.m. If we have to pay bills, we have to pay bills. If we have to work a couple of extra hours, I don't think I should just close because maybe somebody is unlikely to be open. But I take all consideration, I'll take every thing into consideration and say, if we make this much in 2 hours, it's not worth it. So let's change the hours. We don't, obviously, we don't want to keep changing hours. We want people to know you're gonna be open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So they remember, on my way home, I know this place is open. Otherwise, we change the hours, not a good look.
Okay, thank you. Alan, did you have any questions?
No, I appreciate the hard work and the groundwork.
Thank you.
Just enthusiasm that we bring to what we want to do.
Thank you so much.
So you want to be specific in terms of the hours? Is it 10 to 10 as you mentioned?
I would like, to be open 9 to 11:30. But again, this is not, solid or written on, like. I could change if recommendations make sense, I'll change the hours. One last thing, these few days that I said, I try to collect signatures. By coincidence, I run into Miss Natalie. She's from the Block Association, Miss Natalie Frazier. And she approved. And that's the only other person from this list I met in street by chance.
Okay. So just piggybacking on Alan's question about hours. So I understand business decisions need to be made. You need to determine whether or not it makes sense to be open certain hours. But what we'd like to hear from you here is what you would commit to as your maximum hours. So if you're saying 9 to 11:30 is what you aim for, that's something that we can opine on whether it makes sense for our community. But what we do not want to hear is that you are asking for those hours and then after you're open till 2.
No.
So, no, well, that's why I'm saying, if you would like to be on record for the hours that you want to be open for us to consider, this is the time to do that. Because I think building that community trust is about us getting behind whatever it is that you're proposing in public, and that doesn't change, which we are seeing from some applicants, which is a problem, because it means that they weren't either understanding of the question or being truthful.
Yes.
So I ask again, so is your intention that you would like to be open between 9 and 11:30?
Yes.
Okay, so, we'll just have that as that's the hours, and understanding you may end up being open 10 to 10. And that's not, no one's gonna be concerned if it's shorter, but I think what people would be concerned about is if you commit to 11:30 to close time, and then you're open till 2.
Yes.
And we would ask that if you do want to change your hours, if approved, that you would come back to the community board to
Absolutely.
have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Great. We
You'll
have,
need to, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
update your application because you put 11:30 to 12:30. So,
Update the application.
So now, rather than do that, if you can just, at the end of this, however this turns out, we just ask for something in writing. You don't have to fill out the whole application, but something in writing clarifying what your hours would be.
Okay.
So then we can attach that to the.
Yes.
To the application.
so we have someone who is online, who is looking to speak. We're gonna bring you over, Elizabeth, one moment. Hi, Elizabeth. You can unmute. Elizabeth, can you hear us? You're now able
Here,
to.
can you hear me? You got it? Okay, sorry. So I initially had spoken I had a phone conversation earlier. My interest here was in another building, 722 10th Avenue, and I got on a little late. I wasn't sure if you had addressed that or not. Interestingly enough, my building is also owned by Stephen Croman, who owns 653 that this gentleman wants to put his store in, but I don't want to interrupt the other gentleman. I don't really have anything to say about 653. I think it's probably closer to 46th Street. My concern is with 422.
Understood. So we'll bring you back at the time
Okay.
that presentation's on. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Can I answer the So just for clarity's sake, in the sense of, because I know this came up, we did get correspondence regarding the issue of proximity to the other location. So we all understand, your reading is that it's outside of the 1,000 feet, whether it's 1,000 feet and 10 inches or 1,000 feet and 100 feet. It's just outside of the 1,000 feet. OCM door to door, OCM is door to door. OCM is saying it's below the 1,000 feet, and you've written a letter, can you contacted them objecting to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They have not responded exactly how many feet under, or I shouldn't say above, but they denied the application, they denied the location.
Okay. So just piggybacking on the fact that you're commenting on it, the community board does not weigh in on whether something is allowable or not, in terms of the regulation and how many feet, et cetera. What we are is looking at this specific application, this specific location, and determining whether or not it makes sense for the community. One question I have, I appreciate again hearing a lot of your journey to cannabis and understanding that your experience, which was all of our experience during the pandemic with those blocks being very saturated with folks that needed help. Can you explain how your business is specifically addressing that? The reason why I'm asking is what you described is providing services for folks to work. Is that something you were thinking of doing within your location? I'm trying to understand how
The
that,
outreach,
yeah,
no, that's just a separate,
Okay.
completely separate thing that once I'm operational in the neighborhood, that's something I would love to do and I would actually do.
great. I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify that. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. Okay, so what we have before us is a location, regardless if it's in dispute of whether or not it's allowable under the rule with another applicant within 1,000 feet. Any comments broadly from the task force on whether or not we think that this makes sense for our community?
I would propose the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right.
Good luck.
What we asked for again is that you provide in writing those hours that we talked about. We do still encourage you very much to continue to reach out to the community at large and to understand if there are concerns, issues, that
Yes.
we also can work with them
Absolutely.
with you. And please keep us up to date on the progress around your application.
Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys know me, right?
No,
That's all.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we now will move on to third item on the agenda, which is Sunshine Operations LLC. 510 West 27th Street, and I believe they're online. They're online. Oh, we have people. There's something. Hi, Luke, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me.
All right, if you can introduce yourself, let us know what you're looking to do here, what your connection to the community is, and why you think that your operation's a good fit for the community. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for giving me.
Oh, hold
Thank-
on. Sorry,
Sorry,
Jesse wants
just
to
for
look
clarity's
up.
sake, because this, I just so y'all, if you're looking into, you're quickly looking through your Dropbox and like, where's this application? It's not for distribution, dispensary application, and so
Right.
this is why it's titled informational. So this is separate from a normal procedure of doing, it's not applying for dispensary applications, it's a different type of app. Had one of these in the past, but it was connected to a dispensary as well, so that's why we're having the time. Sorry, go ahead.
Correct. Yeah. Just to explain a little further, yeah, this is a micro business application. The vision with Sunshine Operations is to do processing, which is edible manufacturing and cultivation distribution out of the 27th Street location. We had originally wanted to do retail there, but due to land use zoning, it's zoned as industrial manufacturing. We decided to, and we were looking for another retail location, but this will just be simply cultivation, processing, and distribution. Yeah, a little bit about that vision is, I had developed, over time, some really, my fiance is an artisanal chocolatier, and we have developed some really great chocolates, gummies, prototypes for some products that we're excited to put out into the recreational market. Um, something that I really enjoy. I guess a little background on me, my mom's from Jamaica, Queens, my dad's from San Diego. I moved to New York. I'm from Oakland. I moved to New York in the late 90s. I went to school up at SUNY New Paltz, and after I graduated, I started working in Chelsea on 27th Street, between 10th and 11th Avenue for about 5 years. I love Chelsea. I've gotten to see it develop over time. I remember when the Hudson Yards was just train tracks, and so it's exciting to see the space develop. Yeah, like I said, we're not going to be doing retail there. It'll be indistinguishable from anyone walking down that block. It'll be like we're not even there. I hope the products that we create kind of embody, the creativity of the neighborhood. We're directly across from the newest Casman Gallery, and some of our chocolates are named after like some Monet and various artists that will hopefully have a creative air on what the regular gummies and chocolates are on the market now. Something that's special to me is a low dose, broad spectrum edible. So, we're talking about like 2.5 milligrams THC, 5 milligrams CBD. I found a lot of medicinal value in those low dose edibles. So I hope that's a unique offer to the market that other than the kind of higher dose edibles that are around now. Yeah, I'm happy to share anything else. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, we have a few. So starting with Alan.
Thank you. Can you describe the space a little bit?
Yeah, so 510 West 27th Street is an industrial warehouse. We have a small lease, around 1,800 square feet. It's going to be kind of a multi-phased build out. We're going to start with a small cultivation processing facility as a proof of concept, and hopefully with some success, we'll start to expand to get to the full canopy space that the micro business allows. But it's an industrial warehouse right across from the Casman. You can notice there's some Kenny Scharf art on the front, but yeah, it's an industrial warehouse currently.
So I know that this is an informal conversation, but just letting you know, some of the concerns that we had with the previous micro business that came here were energy use, fire concerns. You said you're starting a small proof of concept build out. I mean, that's probably something that's comforting to most of us, is because it's proof of concept for this industry period. Whether that works, but just letting you know, those are some of the points and concerns that came up. Clearly, if you're growing, you're not burning it to smoke it, but people did bring up smell as a concern. I'm not sure why, but those are some of the things that did come up. If everybody's smelling chocolate, I doubt that you'll get the community that'll be up in arms about that. But again, I think that these are unknowns because it is new as an industry. And also, most importantly, this is something that has not been done in what is, even though that is an industrial building, it has become an extremely residential area. So bringing micro, businesses to grow cannabis, where we've seen in other states where they have these huge, gigantic empty warehouses that are in the middle of nowhere. I think those might bring up community concerns, whether it's real or not, that, when you do apply, or when you do, get to that point to address, so the community can understand exactly how you're gonna operate and whether or not there's an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to answer, as far as odor mitigation, we do have plans to have a series of carbon filters, which would virtually eliminate any chance of odor. I have an agreement with the building owner that it's basically, we have promised that there will be no intrusive smells coming from the facility. And yeah, those, we have some industrial size carbon filters that will mitigate any chance of odor coming into the rest of the building or into the street as well.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, will people come to your building?
This will be strictly for staff only. This is yeah. There's no public access at this time. Also, just a little bit more of a backstory. I had as a consultant, built out a medically licensed retail facility in Washington, D.C. So I'm very familiar with SOPs and strict procedural requirements of not only the recreational space but also the medical space. So we definitely are serious about making sure that we're compliant and also that we don't become a nuisance within the community. So that's all stuff that we've thought about very carefully.
But so you will package and then distribute out the chocolates?
Yeah, wholesale to other
other-
stores, hopefully, to people like iDispense and other recreational facilities around New York.
One minor question, is there anything else in that building right now? I know you're just taking a small portion, but.
Yeah, absolutely. That anchor tenant in the building is a wholesale textile wholesaler. So there's there's like a shipping and receiving bay that where textiles are sold.
Your hours, I'm sorry,
Excuse me?
proposed hours, your hours?
I submitted, I believe, from noon till 10 p.m. We are flexible. We're just going to be processing and cultivating. It's going to be a small, this is craft cannabis. It's going to be a small team of about probably 3 people to start. So, yeah, I believe I submitted 12 till 10 p.m. will be our operating hours.
That's a long day.
It's a lot of children.
It's a lot of chocolate. Yes, Al.
Not having much experience with this, what sort of oversight you expect from the state?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
What sort of oversight would you be expecting from the state? Do they come to visit you once in a while?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been preparing since 2023. One of the major things I'm looking forward to is we're going to be a GMP certified facility, which is one of the most stringent manufacturing good manufacturing processes. We're gonna have somebody come and inspect our procedures, our SOPs, and make sure that that we have a clear program from anything from recalls to our input materials being consistent. So there will be oversight, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great.
Interesting. Right across the street from the pizza place, right?
Best, yeah.
Oh, Vest, a great spot. That's one of my favorite meeting spots, actually. And if anyone wants to talk further about it, I'm in the area often. I live on East 24th Street, so I'm around pretty often.
Luke, can you confirm, is it ground floor or is it second floor? What floor is it on?
This first phase will be in the basement of the building.
Okay.
No.
Great.
Cool.
Well, thank you for providing a preview of what you're looking to do. I know that when it gets time to getting that approved, et cetera, that we would look forward to hearing from the rest of the community on their thoughts on the chocolate, the high chocolate that will be coming to the community.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also have here on our agenda, we have City Dispensary, 722 10th Avenue between 49 and 50th Street. They're looking for proximity relief. Now, so as we already know, 1,000 feet is what's in the rule. We also know because of our letter we just passed that they're looking to reduce that. But if it has been deemed that someone does not fit within that 1,000 feet because somebody else is in the area, they can request if it fits for the community to ask to open, even if it isn't compliant with that 1,000-foot rule. So that's what we are hearing today. Thank you very much. If you both can introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about what you're trying to do and why you think that the relief makes sense.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cabrera, and I'm counsel for City Dispensary, and I'm joined here by the 100% owners who will make a quick presentation about themselves. Answer any questions. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Marie. I am owner of the City Dispensary. I'm from China. Now I'm a US citizen. I'm owned restaurant many years. Many experience. My English is not very good. This is my kind of judgment.
Okay, very good. So we'll be here to answer any questions. So just a quick introduction. So City Dispensary is 100% woman minority owned business. So it is a seat applicant. They've received approval from DOSAN with CCD for their application. This is not the first property that they looked for. They found one in and applied for approval in Community Board 2 in Manhattan, received that approval. Unfortunately, they lost the location because of proximity protection. So they started looking for a new location. About, let's see, 4 months ago, they identified a spot on 10th Avenue at 722. This is a former convenience store. We know that it was previously reported as an unlicensed cannabis retailer. Obviously, that has nothing to do with this group. That was reported back in November of 2023. So they identified the spot a few months ago. It was a long negotiation for a lease. They finally signed a lease at the beginning of May. They're paying rent. They've put down a security deposit. They think it's a great location. So this Ms. Lee is a resident of Queens for the last 5 years. She has a great deal of retail experience. For over 10 years, she ran a Chinese food restaurant. She was the manager of it, working very long days, many days a week in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. She first moved to Pawtucket when she first came to this country. She also has a bit of cannabis experience. Her sister lives in Oregon, and she went out there for a year and worked at a cultivation facility. I believe as a trimmer, cutting flower. So actual real cannabis experience. However, really it's the retail experience that matters here. She is currently focusing on getting this license open as soon as possible. It is obviously a very desirable place to have a location. It's well set up as a form of convenience store. And they believe that they'll be able to get this open pretty quickly, given the layout is conducive to cannabis dispensary. It'll be a matter of getting cameras put in and all the security protocols from DOSAN complied with. They think about 30 to 60 days. Obviously, then you have to wait for inspections. So I think that is a quick rundown, and I'd like to then just address any questions that the residents have.
So thank you for that, both of you. My primary question is the connection to this community. You said you tried a different location, different community. Is there any connection here? Is there and we're all probably gonna want to know what outreach has been done. This is an extremely active area in terms of block associations, et cetera. And then after you respond, I'll let you know a couple other things that may impact community sentiment around this location.
Absolutely. I personally am very familiar with this community. My then boyfriend, now husband, lived here for about 8 years when we were first together. So we spent a lot of time over on what used to be called the Gershwin on the 50th and 8th Avenue. So I know that so first of all, community outreach. Jesse provided a list of emails. Emails went out to everybody on that list on May 9th. Let me just check that I have the date correct. Yes,
there have been no responses to those emails. In addition, signs were posted and on the building itself, as well as at local street corners. So no responses have been received since this time. However, Ms. Lee is a New York resident now for some years. She has lived and worked here. As far as relationship to Hell's Kitchen itself, I don't know if it's involved that. Okay, good, I like that name. I think it's more about trying to build this relationship going forward. This is a family-owned business, it would be a family-operated business. And so it will be through Ms. Lee and her family that any concerns are brought to them. And they will be very responsive to those because they understand that a retail operation depends on the people nearby coming to buy. This isn't something where everyone's traveling a long way to buy their cannabis. That's not the world we're in. You're going to have your consumers in what, 3-block radius? That's just the way it works. So speaking of a 3-block radius, are you familiar with what is around? I mean, I know by regulation, you're fine, but there is a park with a playground just about a block away. There'll be another park almost across the street relatively soon. There is a school within there's 2 schools within 2 blocks. I can go on. So community garden very nearby, absolutely right. The community garden 48th Street, but also the garden within Hell's Kitchen Park. These are things that we've been on record as being concerned about the proximity, even though they are by regulation. I think that that's something that I'm not alone in articulating that that's a concern. So
I would say that clearly there's a market for it because we had a bodega that was selling unlicensed cannabis. And this was untested stuff that's coming from out of state. And we really don't know what it is. There is clearly a desire to have stores in the area. I think then the question is, do you want a licensed store or not? And I think that this is a group that cares quite a bit about becoming part of the community and being responsive to it. Yes, there are schools nearby. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I fully understand. I think we know that New York City has been full of cannabis dispensaries for many years. This will be better because the glass will all be frosted. We'll be able to see it. There is a neon green or neon pink lead like we had a couple of years ago. So I think the standards are much higher than having a family-owned group that is from the city in this space is a great improvement.
I apologize, normally I try to be very objective, but I actually have photos on my phone that shows that some of that clientele that need were people with children bringing their children into that location. So
Into the store?
into that store. So
Yeah,
I'm only saying that not against your client, but just saying that I don't know that just because it was previously an illicit shop is a good reason to be saying that's gonna determine that there's gonna be a market for responsible cannabis users. So that's just, sorry, I
absolutely
got a little
right.
triggered there.
No, I totally sympathize on that, and I think that's why licensed shops are an improvement, because you have to show your ID to get in. You can't bring a child into this shop.
Okay, now that I finished with my trigger, anyone else on the from the task force have any questions?
So what's the debate about the proximity? They want us to approve this.
So we aren't the approving factor. They do need to come to the community board. I believe that the language states is that the applicant would need to demonstrate that there is a community need or a community desire for a location that it does not fit within the rules, which is that it's within 1,000 feet of another location that is open. So again, we're not the approving body as you know, but we would be providing, if we are okay with that, a very heavy weight for them to bring back to OCM for trying to get the relief from the rule.
If I may, I could provide some context on that.
Please.
Useful, okay, very good. So there is one, we're okay in terms of buffers from schools and places of worship, but there is a dispensary within 1,000 feet, which is the bird rule. It's 825 feet away. Importantly, it's on 9th Avenue. So it's
on 9th between 50th and 51st, our location is on 10th between 49th and 50th. And obviously, an avenue makes a difference. The proximity protection rules currently require 1,000-foot distance, and you can apply to the OCM for a waiver on the basis of public convenience, and they start look at a number of factors that have to be those. The board, the Cannabis Control Board, has proposed new rules that reduce the buffer to 500 feet. Those are not in place yet, but we opine on that this month. Okay, we have a letter going out saying that we're not in favor of reducing to 500 feet. Understood. Under the new rules, community board approval will be required. Under the current rules, it is not clear, obviously, we want, whether it's now or in the future, we would want to come forward to see. Great.
Can I get clarity on that? The new rule would require community board approval for anything under 1,000?
For anything under 500.
Under 500, okay,
They couldn't go.
got it. But so currently though, what you're applying for is under the current rule, which requires you to come,
Which doesn't require you going to the community board at all.
Oh,
It just
okay.
means you go to the community board through the notice to the municipality process, what we're
Okay.
doing now.
Got it.
Then you go to OCM, request.
So this is the standard process, but you're acknowledging the fact that you're under, you're under 1,000 feet. Got it, understood. Thank you.
Wendy Allen,
Who's actually gonna be managing the store?
Ms. Lake will be there 5 days a week.
Are we open 5 days?
You'll be open 7 days.
7 days.
2 days open?
I think she'll have, probably she'll take a few days off, get someone else.
I'd like to hear from you.
If,
Sorry, just to pick up on Alan's part. Who will manage the store? I don't think the owner is the manager, right? From the cannabis rules, you need a designated person to be, or not the owner, right?
it can be the same person. This is a store that would have about 8 employees. The plan now is for her to be the general manager. However, once they get to the point of hiring those 8 employees, we could have an additional manager as a backup contact.
Just to give you, we have the 825 feet stack ready. Do you happen to know distance between this location and the high school? Would you not?
PS 111 is on 53rd and 10th. Sacred Heart is on 52nd and 10th. And let's see, what else do we have around the corner on 49th Street between 8th and 9th is Urban Assembly High School.
The problem is that the way they measure it, right, is different than the way they measure the proximity between establishments, right? The way they measure schools and houses of worship is whether they are door to door on the same road. So they would need to literally do a measurement from this establishment to the door to the school by, you know.
On 10th Avenue, they all have to be on 10th.
Yeah, they would all have to be on 10th Avenue, so they could get a measurement, but it would also then really not matter, because it's not on 10th Avenue.
Got it.
While the proximity, the difference between establishments, they do it by basically by births. Births.
Because it looks like Food and Finance High School is literally a block away.
I think you're right, yeah.
But looks like the technical address is 525 West 50th Street for the high school.
And then you also have across the street, you have a family shelter. I mean, you know, it's an area that's has a lot of things that raise concerns broadly about cannabis. But also the block itself, even though you're on 10th Avenue, 49th Street has been troublesome for a lot of reasons, has nothing to do with cannabis. That does bring up some concerns. We do have some folks that from the public that want to speak, and we want to bring them over. Elizabeth, we're gonna bring you back.
Sorry. Okay, I took my audio. I was locked out. Hi. So I actually live in the building 722 10th Avenue. And not only do I live there, I have lived there a long time, 39, 40 years, so long I can't even remember. First of all, I can just start out and tell you that storefront was never a former convenience store. That storefront had a sign, it's still there, West Dispensary, CBD, vape, Zaza, and more. The owner of the building, Stephen Croman, when it was finally shut down after many complaints to Senator Hoylman and Tony Simone's office and Eric Botcher's office, they finally came in, booted them out because they were unlicensed, and Mr. Croman put up a red banner that says convenience. It has never been a convenience store. It was an illegal cannabis store. Before that, it was for a while, it was a dry cleaner. Living in the building, what I personally have dealt with when it was opened, we had our front door, which is inches from the storefront. So it's the same building, and the two doors are side by side. We had the glass door broken. We were broken into numerous times. Our mailboxes were broken into. People were breaking into the vestibule and urinating. We were finding empty beer cans, soda cans, candy. I would come home from work and there would be people rolling joints in front of my building. I had to call the police a few times because I didn't feel safe walking up to the door and putting my key in because there were people hanging around. Now, granted, I cannot prove that those people were there because of that cannabis shop, but what I can tell you is after living there for 39, 40 years, those things had never happened before. They all happened while the cannabis shop was there. And some of it may be coincidental, but it's very disturbing to me. I don't see how it can help the community. And as some of you already discussed it, we've got the charter school around the corner on West 50th between 9th and 10th. You've got the high school on West 49th between 9th and 10th. You've got a whole block of high schools, which have always been a little bit problematic for the neighborhood when all those restless teenagers get let out of school on 50th between 10th and 11th. You've got the PS 111, which you mentioned. The playground for PS 111 is between 52nd and 53rd on 10th. The school is a little bit further in. And then also, as you mentioned, the Sacred Hearts School. Living on that block, kids are constantly back and forth all the time. And I did see and witness children going into that shop when it was a cannabis store. And it's very discouraging to me that they're thinking of letting another one in. You have that huge facility that's licensed, that's right on 9th Avenue and 50th. You've got another licensed Cannabis Dreams on 56. These are huge places. They do not look like medical facilities. They are clearly day glow, neon, very trippy kind of looking places. I don't have a problem with people who might need it for medical reasons. I think that's great. I myself am a cancer survivor. I suffered terribly with nausea from chemotherapy. If it was available to me, I may have used it, but that's not what the case is. What you've got are a lot of young kids, a lot of teenagers. That storefront got a lot of play from the high schools. I understand now, allegedly, you're going to have IDs and stuff to get in, but we all know, I mean, I had a fake ID when I was 13. These are all things that you can't control. And I just don't see how this is really going to help the community. So now we're going to go from Hell's Kitchen neighborhood being nothing but illegal weed shops to now being on every block a licensed weed shop. And how is that building a sense of community around the parks and the schools when all we have are delis and licensed weed shops? I just don't understand it. I don't want to thwart someone's effort to have a business, but I'm just not sure with existing businesses there that that's the best idea. And I think there's also another license on I don't know if it's on 50th or 51st between 8th and 9th. The other gentleman, he wants to open up a place further down. Well, I don't know what that is, 46th and 9th. I don't know. Point is, we don't need block to block licensed dispensaries. And if you look at the map, they're so concentrated all in certain areas, and there are other areas of the city where there's like none. So I can appreciate someone wants to start a business, but there are other neighborhoods. And we have so many problems. And yes, as you alluded to, a lot of problems on 49th Street. And why would the city want to allow a licensed storefront? We've had ex-inmates from Rikers Island being holed up in the Skyline Hotel. We've had homeless being used as a homeless shelter, single parent shelters. There's women's shelters, parents of single parents of children. It's flooded in that neighborhood. I just don't see how that is going to be a storefront that is going to help that targeted community. And
Thank you, Elizabeth.
yeah,
Thank you. We appreciate you showing up. Sorry, we have some. Oh,
So,
hey, Ryan.
can I ask Elizabeth? So, hi Elizabeth.
Hi.
Since the closing of the illegal cannabis store, how has the building, the block been since?
well, I mean, listen, we haven't had any more break-ins. We haven't had any of those problems, the missing postal boxes and everything. And again, I can't prove it. I can't say it. Maybe it's purely coincidental, but I've lived there for 39, 40 years. These kind of things never happened. And they all happened when the store was open, and now they've all disappeared. And it could be purely coincidental. The block itself, it's not great. I mean, we're seeing like a lot of homeless people. We've got a couple of people who are living around, and I come out in the morning and they're, laying on the street. And I don't know if it's coming from the tent cities on 11th Avenue. I mean, it's really sad. It's a really sad situation. And I just think that the city or New York State could help a community more. I get that they probably want those licensed stores to go in. They probably want the tax revenue. I totally get it. But you cannot turn your back on a community. And I feel like ever since COVID, the community has gone downhill. And I see the same stores that were thriving, coffee shops, the gelato shops, they all closed down because we lost the tourist industry. The tourists that used to go to the Skyline were lovely. They were all European. They went to the laundromats, they went to the delis, they went to the gelato stores. It's like, and now it's like it's nothing. There's just empty storefront after empty storefront, and businesses go in and they last for a little bit and they close down. And I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think just putting in a lot of agreeing to allow all these shops to go in, licensed shops, to concentrate them all in such a small area. It's bad enough that they're trying to put it in under it. I mean, to me, 1,000 feet is even still too close, because that would
Thank you.
pretty much allow one on every single block.
Right. Thank you,
We
Elizabeth.
don't need that. We don't need that.
Thank you. So we do have someone here. You want to
Yeah.
introduce
Sorry.
yourself and
I'm Boris Bamberg. It's my first time attending one of these.
welcome.
I'm actually doing a class on New York City government, so I'm like trying to learn how all this operates. But I actually live kind of further south than the location described. We're having kind of a number of shops going in there as well. But in the co-op where I'm a board member, we constantly have this discussion around block safety, open businesses, etc. And I pulled up the local dispensary map while Elizabeth was talking. At least on the visual map, it doesn't seem like there is anything that close. If we look at like the layout distribution, it does look like there's, it is kind of fairly distributed using the 1,000-point rule. And then, if this neighborhood has this concern around empty storefronts, like at least in our area, we see a correlation between empty storefronts and, let's say, undesirable behavior, right? And I wonder, does preventing a business going in, like, does that actually make anything better? And if there is no business demand, then won't they just fail and it'll be right back on the market and it kind of solves the problem?
Well, these are questions that I think that communities grapple with all the time. And I think that one of the things that we notice is just part of New York City's history. There are uses that are allowed or not allowed in specific actual zoning texts for some of that reason. It's recognizing that a community may or may not need a certain use or may or may not want, but we're not debating that this evening. I think just to bring us back home, the concern here is that we have someone who is being denied the opportunity to open up the store at this location, because by the rules as they are now, they are within 1,000 feet of another location. So just for our task force members, just a reminder, I had mentioned it briefly a moment or so ago. We just did vote at full board on a letter which will be sent in time for, sent for the official comment period on the new proposed rules, which were reducing the distance between legal retail dispensaries from 1,000 feet to 500 feet, and we voted as a community board not to make that change. That was our primary concern, is that oversaturation, this concept, as I know Marty asked me to define saturation in the letter, which I didn't get a chance to, but the concept of oversaturation, meaning having cannabis on every block. The burden that we have here as a community is to opine on whether or not there's a community need that creates improvement or fulfills a need, but as the language which was mentioned by the lawyer, and thank you for correcting the language, it's the convenience of whether or not the convenience of having access to retail cannabis is something that we want as a community. So that's what we're opining on here this evening.
I mean, my general take is that I think both as the history of the positions we've taken around proximity, this doesn't feel like this is in the spirit of there being a need and to kind of go against what we've previously laid out as being the priority for us with that oversaturation. I'm also very concerned about this specific location, despite even the proximity issue with the number of high schools, with the parks, et cetera. So I think it's kind of the challenging location, both ends, despite the fact prior seems like seems very confident, but that's much.
Rod, any thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree with Wendy. I mean, it would be against our previous conversations and votes. So I agree with Wendy.
Alan?
I would echo, I think the community, we're gonna show up, we don't feel they rely on us to go by what voted for is. This particular location, these couple of blocks in here is, it's a tough one.
Okay. Am I hearing a motion? There's a motion to deny. I have a motion, a second,
Second.
okay. The motion is to deny the proximity relief, all those in favor? Okay, so with apologies for the business incident, we are trying to be consistent with how the community feels in terms of proximity. And this is specifically on relief for proximity. But we wish you luck. Thank you. Thank you. We did have a couple other folks that were here this evening. I don't know if you were here to present, to ask, or any concern to observe.
We just wanted to meet the task force, we're gonna be dispensary opening in Chelsea. We have our final OCN inspection on Monday. It's on 25th and 302.
You guys, you approved this.
Yes.
You should introduce yourself as being connected to the application I gave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they were, yeah, which one?
Please it up.
At the time it was not blazing up, but it's the name has changed, right?
Yeah.
DBA has changed. This is Matt Klein, right? Matt Klein, is that?
Matthew Ward.
I'm sorry,
Matthew Ward.
Matthew Ward, sorry.
Great.
And I've been in cannabis since 2021. I started out in the medical field in New York. I worked for the two largest MSOs in the country. I was previously the general manager of the #1 dispensary in New York City, the travel agency in Union Square. And here we are to brighten up the city with even more opportunities for people. And to really I've been affected by this plant in a negative way. And I really want to show people that it is just a plan, educate the community, really be a part of the Chelsea community and, just destigmatize them.
Great. Well, thank you and good luck. I don't think we have any new business, right?
No.
Okay, and so just telling you guys, apologies again, I still have not updated our application formally. I'll sit down with Jesse at some point and get that done.
I was going to ask you yesterday.
I know, it's my bad,
Okay.
my bad. I'll take responsibility for that.
So, well, can I actually just highlight it? So next month is, our meeting falls on Juneteenth, which is a city holiday and, so that's usually the office is closed, so we're gonna need to find another date. It's not a lot out there. Right now, just the way the month falls, so I will, I'll send something out, I'll get at least a quorum.
What I would ask Jesse is perhaps before the next full board, if you can just give us a sense of how many applicants may or may not be coming, and maybe what we can either decide is, I don't know, we can double up with someone who already has a meeting on a different night.
Yep.
That could work.
Yep.
And or depending on if we really don't have anybody,
Well,
I mean,
we had one.
well, the one that's supposed to come back, but we'll see. And if that's the case, maybe that's something we can do it exact.
Do we have to BLP?
That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Oh, add it to BLP?
Yeah, tack it on.
Yeah, you guys, PLP doesn't have a lot on their calendar usually, right? What was the last count, 60? No, 50.
We only had 29 on Tuesdays.
Yeah, 29, yeah.
Okay, so with that, since there's nothing else, I will entertain motion.
Okay. It was in.
Okay,
Thank you.